Good morning, everyone. I hope that you're all fine on this beautiful Sunday morning. My name is Katherine, and we are going to have a quick session today. So without further ado, I am going to share my screen, and away we go. Of course, here I am. All right, so for today's session, we will be looking into collaborative learning. And of course, because there are many educators that are implementing this method, it's safe to say that this has become the new norm. So without further ado, let's get things going. Now, even though this is a quick video, we will be looking at the contents of this presentation, which will be split into three parts. Now, the first one has to do with the whole idea of what is collaborative learning. Okay. Secondly, and this is the part that most of you are probably most interested in, we are going to look into learning tools that will enhance the learner's general performance, okay, and how we can actually use collaborative learning within the classroom. Finally, we will evaluate the benefits of this way of learning, and of course, finish off with some information about the channel. Now, let's start off with the whole idea. What is collaborative learning? Well, collaborative learning is an educational approach to teaching and learning that involves groups of learners working together to solve a problem, complete a task, or create a product. Okay, so the whole idea of collaborative learning is teamwork, okay? Having your students working in pairs or in groups, or having pairs and groups, collaborating with each other to produce a result, okay? With the ultimate goal of learning. Now, practically speaking, this sounds interesting, but how are we going to actually implement this in class? Well, there are some activities that can help establish this idea. First of all, some of the activities that we'll be focusing on will have to do with pair or group discussions, task sharing, which can be done in pairs or groups. And this has to usually do with sorting, matching, ranking, okay, different items, practicing their vocabulary at the same time. Applying competitive activities or games in class, such as bingo, for example, even other board games such as Monopoly or Battleship, for example. Drama and theater. If your kids are interested in something like this, acting, we'll explain how this will help them perform better, especially in the field of learning a foreign language. And of course, information exchange activities. Now, let's analyze each one separately. So the first category of activities that you can use in class, and we'll see how collaborative, learning can work. Pair or group discussions. When we're talking about discussions, what do we mean? Well, one way of doing this is to split them into listening triangles. Now, what is this exactly? You have three students working together, okay, looking at each other, in a triangle form. One of the students is actually the speaker, okay, and he talks about a topic that the teacher or the kids have chosen. The second student will assume the role of the questionnaire. And how does this work? He will ask questions and the speaker will state his opinion based on the questions. Okay, it's kind of like an interview. Now, the last one is a note taker. This person will take notes of the whole discussion and will eventually reach a conclusion in the end. And we'll have all three of the participants having a discussion. And in the end, they must reach a conclusion or state their opinion or agree upon something that they have been, having a discussion on. Now, the same form can be done, with talk partners, okay? A short discussion with activities. For example, you can assign your students to try to solve a problem, okay, or choose the best option out of two. Maybe it could be like where they would like to have a party or what kind of food they would like to try. Now, by having them discuss, they will, in fact, work more on their language skills, key vocabulary, and, they can also, implement grammar phenomenon as well. Another form of discussion has to do with think, pair, share. Okay, now, how does this work? You assign them a task like an essay, for example, okay, which can be presented, both orally or in written form. You have them work together as a group. They think about the topic, they share their ideas, and of course, they will reach a conclusion. And this can be done, in a response, both in written or oral form. of course, with elaboration on how they chose this idea. I like this last activity. It's called snowballing. Now, what is snowballing? You have, for example, a pair of students that are conducting research, okay, or an investigation about a topic that you asked them to, look into. Now, after they have reached a conclusion, they will share their findings with another pair of students who have done the exact same thing. They will share the information and become a group of four. Then these four will join another pair, and all of them together will be exchanging information and sharing the research that they have conducted earlier. Okay, so it's like cross-referencing, what each of them have done, and they will still, practice, the language elements at the same time. Now, the second category of activities is task sharing. This is quite fun because it has to do with sorting, matching, and ranking. Now, what do we mean by this? When we're sorting and matching or ranking, they can have jigsaw puzzles, or, they can have colors. When we're talking about younger ages, they might have to try to put together something, a project, okay? It might be, made of blocks or different colors, or, some more modern board games that also include, sound and even, little video screens. These tasks are very, stimulating to the minds of young learners. And of course, it encourages the use of the target vocabulary. Making suggestions by using the language. Now, when you are actually, sharing these tasks and doing these, games, you could, justify your opinion, agreeing, or presenting another viewpoint. Okay. Now, one example, you can actually give them items in class, or if this is not available, okay, or not feasible, you can actually find pictures for them online, show them on the board, and ask them, which one of these appliances do you think is the most important to be kept in a household? Or you can have them rank the items, okay, as regards their importance. Or you can have them rank them as regards the cost, okay, which one is more expensive? You can have them debate, agree, express their opinion on something, and of course, justify it. Okay. So in this picture here, I mean, they can actually say what they think is the most important, tool or item in the house. There's no right or wrong answer. It's a matter of perspective, okay, and what will make them express their opinion. Okay, because for some people, maybe the television set is the most, I don't know, important item in the house. For others, it might be the fire extinguisher. What we want is them to discuss, express their opinion, practice the vocabulary, and of course, stimulate their minds to have a conversation. Okay, it's what we call, socializing. All right. Now, there are other activities that can be used, okay, for information exchange, such as board games. Now, in this case, we can see a picture, Battleship. Now, imagine, having them split into groups, okay, and, trying to elaborate and probably, make an educated guess about where the ships are. Now, this will motivate them because it's a game. And of course, you can try to, revise the proposed content. If, for example, you have like a unit that has to do with the sea, or, traveling by means of transport or anything, okay, try to adapt it to a board game, or even, online whiteboard games that you can find, available online, and it can be used, as software for the school hardware. Turn taking, okay, they learn how to respect one another, and of course, work together as a group. Negotiating, because if you have your kids split into, groups of like 3 or 4 for each group, they have to make a unified decision about what they are going to propose for the next step, okay? And of course, this is very challenging, for everyone to collaborate in harmony. Another collaborative activity has to do with drama and theater. Okay, this is one of my favorite ones because you get to rehearse the language, which is the most important of all. You practice intonation because, as we all know, drama, theater, okay, you have to stress specific syllables, words, and express your feelings. This is one of the best practices when, learning a foreign language. Pronunciation. And finally, you can use all this in speech and in writing because you can actually, write your own drama play. Use the elements of the language that you have learned in class and then have them, used in a theatrical play. Now, information exchange. This is quite funny. How about journalism or role playing? One could be an actor or an author or anything. The other can be the journalist. Have the kids prepare the questions, beforehand. Have them use elements of the language that they are practicing. Use these new words, the new vocabulary, and have them, interact with one another. Questions and answers. Practice note taking. One of them can take notes while they're doing, the interview, which is wonderful. Inquiries. Okay. And adding all of these wonderful elements that a journalist can, use during an interview. And of course, have them prepared beforehand when interviewing someone else, because you can have both of them use the, try to be journalists and have, them interview someone, maybe the school principal or a teacher or someone who is of great importance, in the neighborhood. All right. There's so many ways of conducting, these interviews, and the results are amazing. And they're also quite entertaining. Now, this is the final part of this presentation. What are the benefits of collaborative learning? Well, it encourages speaking and listening because they're paying attention to each other. Okay, these are the basic elements of communication. It inspires participation, of course, because when you're working as pairs and you're collaborating, you have to participate and you want to participate to express your own opinion. You negotiate because when you're expressing your opinion or when you're debating or you want other people to actually follow or adhere to your advice, these are elements of negotiating. And the most important of all, we are also referring to social interaction, okay? Because we want our kids to be active participants of society. We want them to be able to communicate with one another, to express their ideas, their thoughts, their opinions, and be able to solve problems, okay, as active members of society. This is a challenge, to be honest, one that they are fully prepared, to live up to. So that's the end of this short presentation. I would like to thank you all for being here. If you'd like, you can ask questions, in the comments. And of course, you can follow us on social media. You can also visit my blog, katherinereilly.blog, or email directly at katherinereilly1@yahoo.com. Please like this video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for being with us today. I wish you a pleasant afternoon. Goodbye, everyone.